Hello and good morning. This is High Priestess Jamila, and I wanted to record this live stream as an educational video for families of gang stalking victims. Okay. So, the reason why I wanted to record this live is for possible clients, friends, and loved ones, possibly, who are currently being gang stalked or were being gang stalked in the past. Okay. Um, and so this is so that you can understand what's actually going on so that you can take the proper precautions, as well as so that you can be of so that you can be a support to one another, so that you can be of a support to sort of like a main target. So this is mainly and primarily for family members, um, so that you can come to an understanding of how to support and just information. Okay. Now, the first thing that I want to say is that typically gang stalking can happen out of social media. Okay, this is usually facilitated by either an ex lover of the target, or it could be random. Okay, it could be random that can arise from the internet. It can arise from YouTube. It can arise from Facebook. It can arise from Instagram, Twitter. It can also happen and be facilitated by coworkers. And it is a very, very serious thing. And the first thing that I want to tell you is that more than likely, it is not just one family member being gang stalked. Typically, gang stalkers are factually gang stalking the entire family. Okay. So, this is where what needs to be addressed is that how many of your family members are actually being gang stalked and what all is involved. Okay. Now, I understand that, there are a lot of people who, when it comes to spirituality, the easiest and most simplest thing to do is to say, well, I'm Christian and, I feel protected by Jesus. Okay. However, what can be happening within this equation is witchcraft, voodoo, possibly hoodoo, and all sorts of other types of spiritual systems could be getting sent to your family for various reasons, mainly and primarily for the reasons of usually it is parasiting off of your family. Usually, okay, is what I've noticed is the primary reason for gang stalking would be to parasite off of your family. And so I wanted to get into this prior to getting into the legal and the psychological and financial ramifications of being gang stalked, okay? Because if your whole family is being targeted, gang stalkers will not stop just at that one target. They are going to target everybody, and they are probably going to target they're probably targeting more than one person at the same time. Okay. So this is truly a time where you need to stick together. Okay. And I'm not saying don't take this the wrong way about gang stalking. But I can tell you that gang stalking is much worse, and gang stalkers will gang stalk more and do worse things if they get any type of hint that there is problems, arguments, and issues within the family. So this is a time where you have to really stick by your family. Family needs to stick together during times of gang stalking. And it's so I'm not so I think that typically gang stalking, if it goes too far, it is a sign of an underlying problem. It is. It possibly is, especially if the family is kind of separated. And I do know that they do target certain bloodlines. And is this type of thing being facilitated just by the government? I don't have the answer for that. What I do know is that government clearance and certain privileges that may be privy to the government may be used by gang stalkers. Do I feel that the government is just, oh well, let's create a gang stalking program? I can't answer that question. Okay. But what I will tell you is that um it is one of the most cruelest things that can be done to a person or a family. And it's not enough gang stalkers being prosecuted. It seems like it is not a priority by the local police or the FBI or the government. And it's something that you never hear them talking about. So I feel that society needs to get together because it's actually a real thing. If you guys remember back in the day, about 10 or 15 years ago, people, gang stalking victims were looked at like they were crazy. Okay. And they really did appear to be crazy. But gang stalking is actually a very real thing. Okay. And it's being utilized to um, target a person, like I said, for various reasons. There are some people in this world that are just cruel. There are some people in this world that are just evil. There are some people in this world that just, they just do things just because they don't have anything else better to do. However, there have been um, certain incidences of gang stalking to where things have happened to people. People's houses have been robbed. People have, even been unalived. So it is really something that I think first, what needs to be addressed is the spiritual. The first thing that you need to address is getting spiritual protection. Okay. You have to focus on the spiritual protection, whatever it is that you do. Now, if your life is actually being threatened, if your job is being threatened, you do not want to go kind of like you don't want to go through job loss. You don't want to go through, calamities. So, I feel that there needs to be focused prayer and protection. Now, I am a high priestess. I am not Christian. So my idea of protection is different. Okay. My idea of protection is different. And especially when there is a threat to life, especially when someone is being gang stalked and their lives are being threatened, I feel that there are special precautions that need to be taken. And so I think that this should be addressed immediately. I don't think that people should just ignore it. The first thing that people say is they say to ignore it. That's the first thing that they say. That's not going to work. Ignoring a stalker is not going to work. Ignoring gang stalking is not going to work. It's actually going to make you more vulnerable by ignoring it. Now, obviously, you can go to the police and you can get a restraining order. There have been so many things that have happened to people regardless to having a restraining order. So this is one of the reasons why it is so important for you to really look into some good spiritual protection and defense, because gang stalkers have an intention to destroy lives. They have an intention to hurt people. They have an intention, and they can be very dangerous. They can be very dangerous. People like that have actually kidnapped people's family members, held them for ransom. Okay. So, some of these stories we don't necessarily hear about on the news. There's a lot of things that happen to a lot of people that we don't hear about on the news. So many people are dependent on the news, but the news don't always report everything. When you have a family member that is the primary target, typically the rest of the family is being watched. Typically, the rest of the family has witchcraft being done on them or attempted to be done on them. Um, and it's weird because uh, they have like networks in every city. In every city, these people are factually considered to be, in my opinion, they need to be considered terrorists. Again, this has not been addressed by the government. It hasn't been at all, which shocks and surprises me that it has not really been acknowledged by the government, and it needs to be. Okay. So basically, if a person is the main target of your family, the family needs to sit down and have a discussion. It is not the main target's fault that they are being gang stalked. It's not their fault that the whole family is being gang stalked. This is the type of energy that gang stalking brings in. It's blame, blame, blame. Typically, though, a lot of the times it can come in through the family, through the women, because there are a lot of love scams that come with gang stalking. So, what gang stalkers love to do What I notice is that they love to implant themselves in people's lives as false lovers. Unbeknown to a lot of people, the false lover is a gang stalker. If there is a point of contact or some kind of point where this begins to happen, okay, what needs to happen is that people need to start talking and people need to start listening. So, for example, a lot of the times when a gang stalking situation is going on, a lot of people don't understand it. A lot of people don't get it. They don't understand it. You need to know if anybody in your family is being gang stalked. You need to know that. That's something that's very important for you to know because if your family member is being gang stalked, guess what? So are you. And it is not a time to isolate, to separate. It's a time to stick together as a family. Settle your differences, whatever issues you have with that person, because that is a very dangerous thing that is happening. You do not drift apart. Now, what I noticed about family targeting, okay, what I've noticed about it is that the moment that the family starts to argue and starts to separate from one another, everybody kind of, and it's nothing wrong with that, everybody's doing their own thing. But when there is not the camaraderie, everybody's isolated from one another. And if this starts to happen all of a sudden with arguments coming out of the blue, then you have to ask yourself, where is this coming from? Okay. You have to be honest about it. And then because typically when the family starts to digress, when things start to happen, this is when the gang stalking gets worse. My theory is that far before the gang stalking starts, there's got to be some kind of witchcraft that is being done on the family. Possession. So you have to pay attention. You have to really, really pay attention to what's happening. You can't ignore it. My suggestion is to start with the spiritual aspect of it. Whether or not it's praying together with your family, if you are, Christian. But typically, I'm going to tell you, there's certain bloodlines that are being gang stalked. So, honestly, what I've noticed in other people that I've noticed that have been gang stalked, certain traditional or conventional methods of protection typically is not working. Okay. seems to not be working. People are still being targeted. People are still being unalived. It's a lot. And I'm not trying to scare anybody, but all sorts of things can happen. And you need to sit down and talk and listen. For example, when a person is not suicidal. Now, I am a I am a gang stalking victim. So thank you to Stevon Harris and Don Pulla. Interesting in the chat. I'm very, very careful. The gang stalkers that have been gang stalking me on the internet have recently keep saying that I'm suicidal. Have y'all noticed that? Anybody noticed that? Well, guess what? I'm not. And this is the reason why I've spoken out about it. Now, do I believe that these people are ever going to touch me or my family or my loved ones? No, I do not. Because I have very, very expert protection that will definitely show up. My protection is going to show up. So, this is the reason why I am very careful about it. When the gang stalkers start talking about suicide and things of that nature, it's a terrorist tactic, but it's also trying to send out a message to the public. I guess, maybe that, and there that is, because I am a psychic. I am a high priestess witch. And a few years back, I did get a premonition of, the gang stalkers trying to commit murder. So this is the reason why it's really important to know that I am definitely not suicidal, but I'm also not vulnerable. So I know that I'm 1,000,000% protected. But this is one of the very sick things that gang stalkers have done and they will do. And I'm not the type of person to play cat and mouse or be vulnerable. I'm not that type of person. I will fight back. Yeah. So, you know, so I'm not going to come on here and say, "Hey, I'm not suicidal. If anything happens to me, well, there's nothing that's going to happen to me." Just FYI. You can call that cockiness. I call it diehard protection with an iron fist, is what I call it. Because gang stalkers are sick and very mentally ill and sadistic. And it's a crying shame that our government does not lock these sick people up. They should be off the streets. Okay. And just recently, our president is talking about making the streets safer. Well, he needs to get gang stalkers off of the streets. Now, when it's a social media gang stalking type of situation, like what I'm dealing with as far as with people gang stalking my business, um, it's more so an online type of situation, but they will take it offline. They will do certain things, say certain things. They do it constantly every single day. So, when I come out and I speak out in the community and defend myself, I'm going to continue to do that because, I've responded to the gang stalkers. I don't care. That doesn't mean that I can't put them in prison. I have the right to defend myself. I have the right to not be subjugated, isolated, humiliated to any community online. I have every right to do that. But there are some people that run away from social media, which is understandable. Okay. However, that doesn't mean that the gang stalkers are not still, or that they're not stalking you. That doesn't mean anything. Okay. So you have to stick together as a family. This is something that is very, very, very important. It's sticking together as a family. Do not allow those evildoers to destroy your family, because that's what they want to do. They want to destroy your family. They want to destroy your lives. And if they feel as though they can get away with it with one or two or three, they're going to continue to go for the rest of you. Okay. It is not a suggestion to hold on to anger and try to work with them. No, you never work with a gang stalker that is targeting your family. Big mistake. Never. Because a gang stalker, the way they look at it is, if you bow down to them, then that means that they don't respect you. And they're still coming for you regardless. So family comes first. Your family, your loved ones, they come first. Put your differences aside and stick together and band together as a family, because that's what you're going to need to do. And you need to understand that a lot of that chaos and that confusion and those arguments and the judgment, these people have been throwing everything at you to get you to turn your backs on one another. Okay. So it's you against them, it's your family against them. You have to stick together. As far as taking the legal route, typically gang stalking is only done undercover. It's always been covert. Well, here lately, gang stalkers have been overtly stalking people. They overtly do it because the covert just didn't satisfy them. They need to make contact. They need to let you know they're very strange, off-putting people. And they just behave very bizarre. They're very bizarre people. It is important to let the local police know, to let the FBI know. However, I think that your biggest defense is going to be sticking together, as well as the spiritual aspect of it. This is not a time to be sitting there talking about love thy neighbor. It is not. Your neighbor will put you 6 feet under. Do not play around with your life like that. Gang stalkers need to know that you're not playing with them. Gang stalkers need to know that you will stand your ground in every way. They need to know that, because if they ever feel that you fear them, they're going to attack more. Okay. If you've got a like for example a ex-lover, typically this is going to be a male ex-lover of a family member, right? And they're being very cunning. They are, trying to cozy up to the family. They are, this is a bad element that you need to get out of your family. You need to immediately, any ex lovers need to be excommunicated immediately, because what that ex lover is doing is they are factually invading on your family. That person is not any good. You have to stick by your family. Okay. And some of them, it seems like to me, and I know that this is very far out there, but to me, it seems like many of them are not even human. Okay. Because they are very manipulative. But human beings, we have a very complicated mind and consciousness. Um, so human beings can be capable of a lot of supernatural type of things. So you have to sit down and talk as a family. Do not, because typically what ends up happening is that it's usually either the person that is sort of like the black sheep or either the golden child of the family. And everybody wants to sit around and blame that one person. Do not get out of that habit. Your entire family is under attack. Do not throw that away right now. Stop doing that. Stop trying to find a way of blame. The only people that are to blame are those gang stalkers. That's it. There's no one else to blame. And now you have to make a choice. You are at a crossroads to where you have to say, we've got to band together and defend our family. No exceptions. God didn't facilitate gang stalking. No, God did not do that. No, that's a lie. That's a con game. That's probably mind control. That's what they want you to believe. That's not the truth. God would not do that. Okay? So what you're dealing with, what you are dealing with is a very very complicated and strategic plan to steal your family jewels and to be able to terrorize. Gang stalkers are very, very sadistic people. If you have a family member that is telling you that they are being gang stalked and you have proof of it, okay? Now, sometimes if it's covert, it's not going to be a lot of proof, okay? But I would still listen to the person that's telling you that. But when there's direct proof of gang stalking, you have to deal with it together as a family. Do not allow gang stalkers to destroy your family, because that is exactly what they want to do. Okay? Don't do it. Okay? Spirit has been wanting me to discuss this for quite some time. Um, there are some people that could be targeted for organ harvesting. They've got all sorts of different sick reasons. They could be targeted for, trafficking or something like that. Okay. Um, those people don't have any power. Stop being intimidated by things like that. I know that there's all sorts of horrific, low down, dirty people in this world. Trust me. I've looked at the videos. I've seen videos of women being kidnapped, trafficked, murdered by pimps. I've seen the videos. It's horrible. Those people are not more powerful than you. Okay. Make sure that y'all are talking about this and speak to each other about it. Now, what I do know is that the gang stalking main target, typically what happens is that the throat chakra is typically binded so that nobody will believe that person. Nobody will listen to that person. In the meanwhile, people are seething with hatred and anger for all of you. Do not ever think that it is just one person. It is never just one person. It is several. It is as many people that they can get their grubby, filthy hands on. Okay. Some of them even have shrines and photographs of your family. They probably, some of them are following people around, snapping pictures, taking pictures, doing all kind of weird things. You're going to have to deal with that, and you're going to have to deal with it in a way that is actually tangible to make sure that it stops. You cannot say, "Oh, I'm going to be the bigger person." At that moment when there's a threat to your life, and listen, nobody should be threatening your life. Nobody should be doing that. The moment a person starts to threaten your life or gives you signs that they are a threat to your life and your well-being, this is when you have to bring out the big guns. Okay? This is when you have to fight back. So so if there is a family of a gang stalking victim right now, if you're a family member and you're listening right now, I want you to know that the whole family is in danger. It's the whole family. And I'm not in it, and it's not necessarily murder or anything like that. It could be, it's a possibility that it could be, but it is also um a possibility, just of spiritual work being done, being manipulated by spiritual work, having your life force taken from you, certain things, happening. Okay, there is a lot that happens within that. You know what I'm saying? And you need to stand up and you need to defend each other and you need to stick by each other and you need to know the truth. Know the truth as to what's going on. Okay. And there are ways of spiritually protecting yourself. A lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people really, really honestly do not realize that. Okay. So it's very hard. It's very heavy. I've been spiritually attacked before. I've been cursed before. I've been crossed before. I've been hexed before. I've been vexed before. And it's unless you are somebody that is very, very hyper developed spiritually like I am, it could be very confusing. Okay. Typically, your family member probably sees more than you see and knows more than you know and has tried to warn you and let you know what's going on. Okay. A person that is not aware is just going to be experiencing and feeling these emotions that they don't really understand. Okay. So I think that it's important for you to know, how is that gang stalking affecting the family? How is it affecting certain family members? How is it affecting you? You have to know that. Okay. You have to understand that. Okay. Main rule of thumb is, do not be intimidated by those people. Let them know. Let them know that you are more than prepared for whatever it is that they trying to do. And you do have to prepare yourself. Okay. It was something else that I was gonna say to you guys. Love one another, stick by one another. It's a very, very valuable lesson in family loyalty. Stick together, because what you dealing with is a beast. You dealing with the beast. And I'm not talking about the devil. You're dealing with confused humans that some of them may not be exhibiting human behavior. You're dealing with terrorists. Okay. All right. That's pretty much it. I hope that this helps some people. If you guys need my help, I am always here. Okay, right now I am protecting several, if not hundreds of clients who are being gang stalked. Okay. And it's not easy, but it's a lot of many, many, many different elements and things that are happening and being thrown at you that you wouldn't even believe if I told you. Okay. All right. Y'all be careful out there. Make sure that y'all hit that thumbs up and make sure that y'all share this video. And like I said, I really, really hope that this helps some families. Okay. Find God, seek God right now. Okay. And band together and stick together. Okay. All right. I'll see you guys next time. Blessings to you all. Thank you, Stevon. Thank you to the moderator. Thank you. I appreciate it.